Good afternoon. We really appreciate all of the classes that have taken the time to join the Google Hangout. And we're really excited. Our superstars for the day we've got on the line are a veterinarian and a farmer. So they're going to be in the barn just to share some really exciting stuff about pigs and pork. I've got some comments and introductions to make before we get started. Agriculture produces the house you live in, the chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, and the job where you work. Welcome today to the Farm Bureau Farmtastic Ag Ventures Pork Google Hangouts. My name is Jennifer Keller, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Education for the Ohio Pork Council, and I'm your host for today's Hangout. We would also like to welcome Michelle Specht, who is an organization director with the Ohio Farm Bureau in Tuscarawas County, Jennifer Barnett, who's the office administrator for Jefferson County Farm Bureau, and she's serving as our tech coordinator, and she's doing a great job today. And our guest expert, Dr. Terry Specht, who grew up on a farm and is a veterinarian from Chickasaw in Mercer County, and she's got with her Jeff Webker, and they're at Jeff's farm. Let's welcome all of our classrooms and teachers on our Hangout today. When I say recognize your classroom, please give us a wave so we know where you are. Mrs. Cook's 4th grade class from North Elementary in Jefferson County. Hey, looking good, guys. Mr. Glazier's 5th grade class from Fort Washington, Indian Valley Schools. Looking good. Ms. Hardacre's 3rd grade class from Donaldsville Elementary in Clark County. Great. And Ms. Roth's 8th grade class from Wellston Middle School in Jackson County. And I believe that's the group. We believe that you're waving, and we're so glad you're there. Now we'll turn it over to Dr. Specht and Jeff Webker, who will help talk to us about what farmers and veterinarians do and how they help care for their pigs.
Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying your day. Is everybody staying warm out? Anyway, I wanted to go over today, and with me is the farmer of this farm that I'm at. And what I've done is I grew up and was in 4-H, and I also grew up on a farm. And with that, it led me to interest in becoming a veterinarian. Does anybody in your classroom want to become a veterinarian?
I can see 7.
Good, I see some hands. So I went to vet school, and after that, I did some work what's called as a mixed animal practitioner. That means I worked with dairy cattle, beef cattle, and sheep, pretty much anything, but also dogs and cats. And from there, I found that I really enjoyed working with piglets. And so I now specialize mainly in going to farms. And most of the work that we do on pig farms is health checks. So a lot of times you'll go to the doctor, and sometimes you go when you're sick, and other times you go just for checkups. So what I mainly do is go and look at pigs and checkups and make sure they're still doing healthy, they're still maintaining good quality, and I help the farmers put together plans so that they're able to make the pigs even healthier each time. So right now, this barn that I'm in, everything's going smoothly here, but a lot of times we just tweak little things, and that can make the animals even do better. And so I can let Jeff explain here a little bit about the farm that we're at, and it's called a sow unit. Does anybody know what a sow is?
I heard somebody say, oh, so what class? Was that Mr. Glazier's class? Somebody,
Do
take a guess. What's a sow?
Oh, a sow. It's a girl pig. Where you wash the pigs?
Girl pig, she said.
A girl pig.
It is a girl pig. Good job. And what's unique about this girl pig is that she's already had babies. And so before she has a baby, she's called a gilt. And when afterwards, she's called a sow. And that's really similar also in cattle. Before they have a calf, we call them a heifer, and afterwards they're cows. And so that's a little relationship between cattle and pigs that we're dealing with. So right now, I'm in what's called a sow unit, and this is where pretty much almost like a maternity ward that you would see in a hospital, a human hospital. And I'm here with where the baby piglets are being born. So there's different stages that these piglets go through. They're born here, then they move into what's called a nursery. And a nursery is just where they are, after a certain age, about 3 weeks, then they are combined and they get started on to feed. And can anybody tell me what pigs might eat?
How about Ms. Hardacre's class? Can someone in that group help us?
Soybeans and corn.
Good job. I heard a lot of people say soybeans and corn, and we brought some samples here for those of you that might not have gotten to see them before. This is corn, right here, corn, and then this is soybeans, and you take the corn and soybeans and grind them up and mix some vitamins and minerals in, and this is what their food looks like in the center. Go ahead,
so
Dr. Speck.
What I'm going to do is we're going to take you inside here, but you guys have to be really quiet. But before I do that, I'm going to have Jeff talk a little bit about it and explain to you a little bit about his farm and his family also. So here he is.
Welcome, students. My name is Jeff. I'm the pork producer here. I own this farm with my brother, Alan, and we're partners. And we have students that are in school too. I have a 5th grader named Laura, and I have an 8th grader, Jacob, and my brother has 4 children ranging from sophomores to 2nd graders. And little Andrew's the little 2nd grader, and he likes hanging out with the pigs too, just like all of our kids do. They like to help on our farm on the weekends when we don't have as many other people helping here. They like to feed the pigs, and as you can see, once you get in, it's something that they can do very easily. Our farm has about 1,800 sows, or the mom pigs, and every week on our farm we have about 1,000 baby pigs born each week. So just like Dr. Speck said, it's a big maternity ward. So cleanliness is very important. We want to keep all of our pigs extremely healthy, and we work with our veterinarians to do that. So today, our Dr. Speck was checking some of them, and we found one that just wasn't quite right. So we're going to take some samples, and they'll send it to a laboratory to check to see what's wrong with it. So making sure our pigs are healthy are very, very important on our farm. I think now we're going to go into the farrowing room. Is that correct? I'm going to hand it back to Dr. Speck.
So before we go in there, I just want to explain a little bit. When I move, the camera kind of slows down, so I'll probably maybe turn it off and then get a good picture. But what you're going to see in here are these piglets. Most of the sows have between about 12 to 15 piglets. And these piglets are born, and they only weigh between about 2 to 4 pounds when they're born, and their mother weighs 400 pounds. And so with that many piglets, babies running around, we have to make sure that they're safe, and we also have to make sure that the employees are safe too. And so some of these sows, they're really protective of their babies, And so if we're messing with them, a lot of times they're inside so they can't hurt anybody. And also the sows are not able to lay on their piglets. And so what I'm going to show you is when piglets are born, they're wet. And when they're wet, that makes them even colder. And so behind me, you can see a temperature controller. So all these piglets are really warm and cozy inside these barns. And the other thing that we put down is it's a little bit of a powder, and you'll see that on the mat. And what that helps do is dry out the baby piglets so they don't get cold or chilled, and it makes them a lot warmer right when they're born. So we'll go inside. Does anybody have questions before I take you in?
This is exciting. Who wants to go inside the room and see some baby pigs? Raise your hand if you want to go in the room. All right, we're ready. So we're at a mother farm, which is called a sow farm. Sows are pigs that have had babies, and we're going to see where the babies live and where they nurse on their mom. So they'll start when they're born nursing on their moms and drinking milk and living in special pens where they can get the best care. But then they're going to, whoa! We'll save the rest for later. Can you see the little guys nursing on the moms?
So little mom is, she's comfortable. And what these babies are doing right now is they're trying to find a teat so they can get some milk. These little piglets were born probably about a few hours ago. And so they can get up and walk around right away and then get up and drink milk. And that's really important. And so some of these little bars that you're seeing is just to protect them from the mother as she gets up and as she lays down. I'm going to take you over here and show you another part.
We have a question, Dr. Specht, and it is, how many pigs does each mother have, I believe?
So each mother has between about 10 to 15 little piglets. So what I'm showing you guys right now is, this is called a heat lamp. And what that does is it provides heat for the baby piglets. And so when they're born, they have extra heat. So piglets need to stay about between 80 to 90 degrees, but that's too hot for the mother. So what we have to create is this little environment for the piglets. And I don't know if you guys can see this. This is the little powder that I'm talking about that helps dry the piglets after they're born. It's a nice warm, almost like a little heating blanket for the piglets. Like when you guys get cold at night, that's a little blanket for the piglets. And then the mother, she is able to eat and drink right there. And I'll show you a little water in her feed pan.
So there's a lot of different places in this barn where the pigs are, and Dr. Specht's just moving around so that we're going to see where they eat and drink.
Are you guys able to see the feeder? So this is the feed. This is a combination of what Jennifer showed you of the corn and the soybeans. And this is how the mothers like to eat the feed. And then she also has a water fountain. Just like you guys in school have water to drink during the day, she might jump a little bit because I'm going to put some water probably on her. It goes faster, but I don't want to scare Mother since she's laying there letting her little piglets nurse. And so what I'm going to do also for you guys is I'm going to take you to another room where the piglets are bigger. But before I do that, can anybody tell me what's kind of special maybe about this flooring? And I'll let Jennifer maybe explain about the flooring as I move to the older room.
One of the questions that we get a lot is, how are those pigs so clean? And it's the special flooring has little gaps in between the slats, so they're not big enough that the pigs would fall in, like their legs or anything, but it is big enough so that any manure and any waste would fall underneath where the pigs are living, so that they can stay clean and they can stay dry, and that helps them be healthier. So then we'll ask Jeff later on what he does with that when he's talking to us.
Jennifer, a question from Mrs. Rhodes' class is, how much does a mother need to eat and drink a day?
That's a great question. Dr. Terry, are you able to speak while I know she's walking around the barn to get to some bigger pigs right now. Are you able to talk, or do you want me to keep going? We'll hold that question. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Terry. How much does a mother need to eat and drink a day?
Mother eats and drink. Can you hear me and see me okay?
Very good.
So a mother sow eats and drinks probably when she eats about 15 or so pounds when she's milking like this, and she drinks about probably 5 to 10 gallons of water each day in order to supply that much milk.
Wow.
And I did move a little bit, but Jeff has to get going. He's busy. He's got a lot of field work. For the most part, they've got all the crops off, but they are in the process of actually expanding the sow unit a little bit. And so he's got some projects to do, and I know you wanted to ask him the question about what they do with the manure. Mm-hmm. And so I will let him explain that before he has to get going.
Okay.
Well, I'll explain what we do with the manure. We have at this farm about 3 million gallons each year to deal with or to apply to different fields. So what I didn't tell you is we have 1,800 sows and produce a lot of baby pigs, over 40,000 baby pigs a year at this farm. We also have crops. So we grow corn. You might see corn when you're driving down the road. We have soybeans. We also have wheat. So in like around the 4th of July, if you're driving around and you see those really yellow fields, that's wheat. And then we have a little bit of hay, not much of that. So in the summertime, once the wheat is harvested about the 4th of July, then we have the wheat fields. We it's a really neat system that pumps the manure right from the holding area or the holding pond at the barn here, and we pipe it through a big straw, like a big hose, all the way to the field. We can pump it up to 2.5 miles. We go under roads and through culverts, and we apply it right onto the field, and it works very well, and it has very low odor. And then we use those nutrients to grow next year's corn to the pigs. So it's a very efficient process, and we put a little bit, so many gallons per acre on, and we can't do it when it's when it's about going to rain. We got to be very careful how we do it, and we then test the soil when we're growing the next crop to know how much nitrogen to put on. So it's a big recycling process is probably the best way to explain it. So that's what we do with the nutrients here on the farm. We like to call them nutrients, not really manure. And it's all housed under the barns or outside the barns in a holding area. Does that answer your questions?
So you take the nutrients, apply it to the field to grow a crop, feed the crops to the pigs, and then it's a cycle that continues.
I always say that farmers are the original recyclers. We've been green forever.
What's your favorite thing to do on the farm what's your favorite job on the farm, Jeff?
My favorite job on the farm, well, when it's cold outside, I love being in the warm pig barn because it's sunny and 70 degrees if the lights are turned on. But of course, we like working with the pigs, and anytime I can be on the farm, either in the pig barn or outside, working with my children right beside me, is the best part of working on the farm.
Do you have time for one or two more questions, Jeff, before you
Sure,
get going?
sure.
Is there a classroom, if you want to raise your hand, we can ask a couple questions to Jeff. I see Mr. Hardacre's or Mrs. Hardacre's class, Ms. Hardacre's class. I see a hand up.
How did the baby pig stay so clean?
How did the baby pig stay so clean? Well, I think Dr. Speck was just starting to talk a little bit about the flooring. And if you look at the flooring, or where the pigs are, where the sow is laying and the baby pigs are, those are very specially designed flat flooring, flat little metal bars, and about 50% of it is open and 50% of it's closed. And it's close enough together that the baby pig's little feet, and they are very, very little feet, that they don't get caught in between the bars. So all the manure and everything goes right pretty much straight down through there. And if it doesn't, so we have to scrape the pens out with a little scraper or a shovel, and we keep them clean at first. But once normally the baby pigs are born, the pens normally stay pretty clean. And we've had a lot of tours at our farm, and that's probably one thing that people notice, is they notice it's very clean. And we have to be, because it's like a maternity ward, and even every time we wean the pigs, so Dr. Speck's going to take you and show you some pigs that will be weaned, or they'll be 3 weeks old. So every time those pigs are moved out of the barn, we completely wash the barn. We spray it with a special disinfectant to kill any little microorganism or bug that could be a litter of pigs.
Like,
and so we yeah, like to kill the germs, exactly. And so we do that every 3 weeks. The room is cleaned, power washed. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's very, very important in an operation or a farm like ours. Any other questions?
Does Mr. Glazier's class have a question for Jeff?
Good.
How much does a male pig eat a day?
Was the question, how much does a male pig eat per day?
How much does the male pig?
I think.
Well, so we really hardly have any male pigs on the farm, but they would eat the similar amount as a gestating or a mom without pigs. They eat about 5 pounds a day. And Dr. Speck told you that a sow that has her babies and she's producing milk, she eats about 3 times that, about 15 pounds a day. So the males and the other one, they all get pretty much treated the same. They all get about 5 pounds, unless the females that are producing milk for their babies have to eat more, because they need more nutrients, because they're passing that on to the baby pigs.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Jeff. We've got a couple more questions, but they're about health, so maybe we'll ask those to Dr. Speck.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Speck, and I'm going to go do some other things here on the farm. Thank you, classes, for participating, and I look forward to helping other classes in the future. Have a great day and a good weekend.
Thanks. Dr.
Hey,
Speck?
can everybody hear me? I'm back.
Yeah, very good. Do you want to show us the bigger pigs, or we've got a question? What do you do when a pig gets sick? What's your preference? What do you want to do first?
Well, Jennifer, if you want to explain to them and show them the size, since Oh, you
Sure.
guys saw piglets that are about 2 to 3 pounds since they're born. Now I'm going to take you to some that are about 3 weeks old. And so if you explain the chart to them, I will go show them the room here quick.
Great. Great. So we've got a little graph, and it kind of shows at the top how little pigs are, and then you can see they get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So at the top, piglets are 2 to 3 pounds when they're born, and then at 4 weeks old, they weigh 15 to 20 pounds, and at 8 weeks old, they weigh 40 to 60 pounds, and at 6 months old, so that's when a pig would go to market, they're 270 to 285 pounds. They grow that much in just 6 months. And that's because we give them a quality, consistent diet of corn and soybeans. We'll just give Dr. Speck a few minutes to get into the room and to get settled. And now, how old were the pigs that she showed us in the first room? Who remembers that? Were they a couple months old, a couple weeks old, or was it? Oh, I see some hands in something elementary. There we go, North Elementary. How old were the pigs Dr. Speck showed us?
A few hours.
A few hours. Very good. So now we're going to see pigs that are older, and I don't know how old, but I think it's going to be exciting.
And while we wait for Dr. Speck to get into that room, Ms. Cook's class has a question. How much do baby pigs drink? How much milk do baby pigs drink?
That's a good question. I think we're going to have to wait for Dr. Speck to answer that. So I'm not sure the exact.
What do they want?
What's that?
I said, since they're nursing from their mothers, that may be something that would be hard to say.
Michelle, you're right. It's hard to say exactly how much, but they nurse about once an hour. So this one's up there nursing right now. So in between, just like a normal human baby, sleep a lot with twin sisters. You can be next to each other. They sleep right next to them. This one's looking at us.
Dr. Speck, can your voice cut out a little bit there? Can you start over on those comments, please?
Can you hear me okay?
Now we can. Can you just start over from what you said in this room, please?
Yeah. Yeah, so what we're seeing right now is that these piglets are nursing, and it's hard to tell, like Michelle said, it's hard to tell exactly how much they eat, but they nurse once an hour at least. And so these little piglets, they're starting to get hungry again. So their mother's laying there letting them get some milk. And they're next to their brothers and sisters. And sometimes they fight, but you can see they're getting along pretty well right now. So these piglets are about 6 old, so you can see how big they are. We still have the heat lamp on, but it's just moved up a little bit higher, and that way the heat.
How many weeks? I'm sorry.
They're 3 weeks.
Wow.
And how much do they weigh?
They probably weigh about 12 to 15 pounds right now. So they go really, really fast.
I see one wagging his tail.
Does anybody have any questions?
One question is, what do you do when a pig gets sick?
So what I do when a pig gets sick, it depends on the size of that pig. A lot of times what I do is if they're coughing, I can give them some medicine that helps them feel better. If there's a barn, so these little piglets are going to move into what's called a nursery, and if they get sick, sometimes there's lots and lots of piglets in there. And so what I'm able to do is treat the whole group of pigs. I'm able to treat the whole group of pigs through medicine in the water. So these piglets can actually drink medicine in the water.
I see a question from Mr. Glazier's class. I'm sorry, Dr. Specht, did I interrupt?
Nope, you're good.
Mr. Glazier's class, please. I saw some arms up, I think.
Good, Toby.
Exactly when it says what kind of when they're first born, if they're like they came out sick, what do you exactly do for them?
When
I
they're
heard
when they're first born, what do you do for them if they're sick?
So when they're first born, what I do is I rely a lot on the farmers of the barn. And what they do is they give these piglets some medicine, and they're able to tell really quickly if the piglets are sick. They might not be nursing right. So what they can do is they can take the temperature, and we can give them some medicine, just like a shot that you would get if you're sick. But it makes them feel.
All right.
So it's not so.
Sorry, go ahead.
Before I step out, I'm going to show you something in the room that we help control. So Jeff was talking a lot about disinfecting the rooms. And what we do here is we have what's called a foot bath.
It's a little bit tricky to see, but it's a pan that has water that would kill any of the germs, right?
Yeah, and so it's a room or a little pan that contains like bleach or a disinfectant that kills those germs. The other thing that I have, if you've noticed, is I have gloves on, and this protects me from happening to spread any diseases. So like Lysol that your mom and dad might use to clean the house, we also use that type of material in the hog barn. In my truck, I have Clorox wipes, and I'm able to clean all my hands off so I don't spread anything from a barn to the next barn. And you guys were asking about when pigs are sick. Another neat thing that I can do is if you're sick, you may have what's called strep throat, and the doctor might swab the back of your throat. What I'm able to do is I can hang this simple, if you can see it, it's just a rope. I can hang this simple rope, and you know, pigs like it. It's almost like a toy to them. Like if you have dogs, you'll give them toys like a chew toy. This is really similar to that, and pigs like to chew on this. And from that, I can take the juice, so like their saliva, and test that for different diseases. It's a very handy test.
So Dr. Specht will take the rope and squeeze the saliva out and then test that. Can you imagine? Ew. How about a question from Ms. Hardacre's class? Are you guys ready? Does somebody have one?
Say real loud, Megan. Do you name the baby pigs?
The question is, do you name the baby pigs?
I don't name the baby pigs. I grew up on a farm, and so sometimes I named our baby lambs. But I'm sure that Jeff, son and daughter, as he talked about, Laura and Jacob, if they're in here quite a bit, they have probably some names for the baby pigs.
How about North Elementary? Do you guys have a question?
pig have to get stop drinking milk?
How old do you have to get to stop drinking milk? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they stop drinking milk about when they're 3 weeks old. And in the meantime, they have little water fountains just like their mother in there where they're at. And so they can get used to drinking water also. And sometimes farmers will give them, as what they go to is a little pellet, and that will be put in these, is what's called these little maternity wards. They're put in there, and so they get used to eating that diet before they go into what's called a nursery. Just like a baby, if you have any little baby brothers and sisters, they drink milk, and then your mom and dad will also give them what's called some cereal when they get a little bit old enough. It's very similar to baby pigs.
We have a question, Dr. Speck. What happens if the mom dies?
So what happens if mom dies? Unfortunately, that would be devastating, but it can happen. And so what they do is the farmers and the employees of that farm are very good about dividing those piglets. Typically, they'll put another mama back in there. And so if these piglets are getting weaned today, then sometimes a sow that's producing a lot of milk will be brought back into that litter, and that way they're able to stay on milk.
Do the piglets always stay with the same mother? So that's a similar question.
Yeah, they usually stay with the same mother because that way it's the milk. The first milk that an animal gets is called colostrum, and it's very, very valuable in nutrition. And it's very critical that the piglet that is born to that mother stays there because it's used to being really similar in correlation between that, and that way it picks up the good nutrition. If you move it to another mother, it may not be able to use that milk quite as well. So we always try to keep the piglets with the same mom.
I see a pink arm in Mr. Glazier's class.
Go ahead, Ellen.
How do you know when the pigs are coughing?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
How do you know when the pigs are coughing?
How do you?
I think
Go ahead, Dr. Speck.
it was, how do you know that with pigs are coughing?
I think so.
Yes, that's correct.
So I know that the piglets are coughing because when I walk into a barn, I shouldn't hear any pigs cough at all. And so it's just a typical cough that you or I would get. So they're kind of barking around and they don't feel good. Sometimes they might not be eating quite as much. And so a farmer will call me saying that the pigs are laying around, they don't feel quite as well. And so then that's when I will go check that barn and just see if they have temperatures. We can even take the temperatures just like a doctor would take your temperature. And then that will tell us, does anybody know what your temperature should be?
How about Ms. Hardacre's class? What should our temperature be?
9.
98.6 is what he said.
Very good.
That's correct. And so an animal's temperature is actually a little bit higher. It's about 101 to 102 degrees. And so if it's higher than that, then that tells me that the pig doesn't feel very well.
All right, I see some more arms in Mr. Glazier's class.
Julia?
How old do they get? Like, how old do the pigs get?
How old do the pigs get?
The pigs get about 6 months old usually, and the mothers get about 5 or 6 or 7 years old.
Thank you. I saw some more arms in the back of that room. and then we'll go back to Ms. Hardacre's class, and then we'll see, we've got just a few minutes left. We'll see if there's any questions from North Elementary. So let's go back to Mr. Glazer's room. There were some arms in the back of the room, and we'll work through the classes. And then Miss Ross' class, if you have any questions, please keep typing them in, and we'll try to get to those.
Do they show any signs that they're mad or happy?
Do they
show any signs if they're mad or unhappy? They can fight just like you or I, as far as if your brother and sister get mad at you. What they'll do is they just kind of play with each other, but for the most part, it's very, very quick and short, and then they go back to eating their milk or eating their food. They don't get mad very long. The other thing that's neat, if you guys saw if you saw the heat lamps that I showed you, I'm able to tell if those piglets are cold or if they're hot just by where they're laying underneath that heat lamp. And so if they're piled on top of each other, that tells me that they're a little bit cold and that we should lower that heat lamp a little bit. So it's very neat that these animals, without even talking, they can tell me what's wrong.
How about Ms. Hardacre's class?
Are the pigs like wobbly when they're born?
Are the pigs' legs wobbly when they're born?
They can be a little bit wobbly, but it's amazing how quick they just pop right up and start taking off. So they might be a tad bit weak until they get their balance, and then all of a sudden they're up and to them getting their first drink of milk.
All right. One more question from your room? At Donaldsville Elementary?
Do you
Real loud.
do you take care of the pigs every day?
Do you take care of the pigs every day as a veterinarian?
I do take care of pigs mostly every day. I used to do a lot of dogs and cats and a variety of animals, but now I mainly take care of pigs. I do have to be careful, though, because I don't want to go into a barn that might have coughing pigs and then go into another barn. So we usually start with animals that we know for sure don't have any coughing or anything like that going on. So I do that on Monday. Like I'll visit what's called a sow unit then, and then go to maybe a sick barn later in the week potentially.
Okay. How about Ms. Ross' class? Any questions as we're wrapping up here? All right. North Elementary. Ms. Cook's class. Do you have a couple questions in your room?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, pig. How much does the big pig weigh?
How much does the biggest pig weigh at the farm?
At this farm, the biggest pig probably weighs about 500 pounds. But Jennifer, you can explain if they go to Ohio State Fair, they always have the biggest pig there. And a lot of times that weighs a lot. I'm not sure if you can tell them. Sometimes I think it's around 1,000 or so pounds.
I think so. Yes.
But that's unusual. But for the most part, the animals in here weighs between 400 to 500 pounds.
Tucker, what's your question?
How big do the pigs get before they die, or how old?
Was the question how old are pigs? How old do they get?
Yeah, how old do they get before they die?
Okay.
So they usually get to be, as Jennifer explained on that chart, about 200 to 50 pounds and to 270. and that usually takes them about 6 months.
All right, and then at that point, at 6 months, that's when we get the bacon, ham, pork chops, sausage. That we get pork from the pigs. So we really appreciate everyone's time. Dr. Specht, do you have anything to add before we start to wrap up? Anything else you want to say?
I just encourage everybody, even if you're not from a farm background, but you want to learn more, get a hold of either Jennifer or Michelle, and they can put you in contact with myself. And if you're interested in other cattle, I've got a lot of friends that went to vet school with me. And so if you want to see like what a veterinary clinic looks like, please contact us.
Thank you very much for your time. We know that you're very busy working with a lot of farmers and taking care of a lot of pigs. So that was really nice of you to take time to visit with us, and what a special treat to get to see inside of the pig barn. So it's time to wrap up our second Google Hangout of the year. Farm Bureau has provided you with a wonderful pork ag mag that gives you some great information. Be sure to take it home and read it and share it with your family. Thank you to all of our teachers and students who participated today, and Jennifer Barnett for her work scheduling and trial runs with all of the teachers. Thank you to Farm Bureau, Ohio Pork Council, and everyone who made this experience possible. And a special thanks again to Dr. Specht and to Jeff, our farmer. So thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Teachers, be sure to go online and sign up for future Farmtastic Ag Ventures, which is bees on January 9th, water quality on March 13th, soil and trees on April 10th, and pizza pizzazz on May 8th. For more information, go to agventures.hangout@gmail.com. And remember, agriculture produces the house you live in, the chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, and the job where you work. We'll see you next time, and we hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.